Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Shintaro Higashi show with Peter Yu. You ever feel sometimes you're grappling and you're tight,
Yeah,
like lockdown tight, stiff,
right. Stiff arming, you find yourself stiff arming and you're not flowing, you're not smooth.
and
Yeah.
you're going against someone that's just sort of in a lockdown
hmm
situation, and
On
they're
the
bombarding you
right.
with choppy
you
movements
know,
and
right. On the contrary, have you ever find yourself going with a person who's really smooth with things and loose and
yeah,
you just can't do anything about it,
and
you know?
they have sort of this achieved this flow state.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's what it's about today. How to stay loose while grappling.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
what does it even mean though? I think a lot of times you can feel it,
yeah,
but well, I don't think a lot of people know. I
yes.
think
It's a
that's the
very
biggest problem.
very
Yeah.
convoluted thing
hmm
because when you're doing judo, you're working out with someone and you're a beginner, and then all of a sudden the higher belt says, relax, relax, stop being so tense, relax, relax. And then you relax and you get launched. But when you're tense and
Right.
stiff, they have a hard time throwing you.
Right. That is true. That's true.
So there's a little bit of a conflict there. There's a cognitive dissonance, right?
Yeah.
Why
I
is this
think
person telling me to stay loose if it's going to lead to me getting thrown?
that's like one of the biggest uh obstacles you need to overcome. To get over the
Yeah.
go from a beginner to an intermediate grappler. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And it is true. It's harder to take down someone that's stiff. It
Yeah.
is. But being stiff also shuts down your own offense because you're fully defensive. If you think about offense and defense working together, right? If you're watching sport like basketball, if the ball is traveling in this direction, one team is defending, other team
Right.
is offensive, right? There's a clear offense defense, and the ball transfers possession, and the ball is going in the opposite direction. Now, this team is offense, this team is defensive.
Right.
In grappling and fighting arts, those things kind of happen simultaneously.
Yeah. The lines
And
are blurred. Yeah.
yes, lines are blurred, and if you really focus your attention on one of those things, you could increase the amplitude of your offense by just being straight offensive. If you want to increase your defense, if you just focus on defense, your defense increases, but your offense decreases. Right? They kind
Right.
of
Right.
work hand in hand. Except if you're very offensive, they say best offense is also a
It's
good
all-
defense. So it has sort of
Right.
this compounding effect. Because when you're offensive, naturally they lock up, so you don't have to defend yourself.
Right.
So
So
that's
that
the place where you want to be. Offensive in a way where the opponent's shut down, therefore you don't have to defend yourself.
and in order to be offensive, you need to stay loose.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
And it's sort of the optimal state of attacking. If you look at any sport, if you watch a great golfer, they line up their shot with the ball and the golf club, and they're outside in the sun, unlike us sitting in a basement and getting no
Right.
vitamin D. They
Yeah.
walk up to the thing and their shoulders are relaxed and they swing the thing back and then they're loose and then they swing right through the thing.
Right.
Looks effortless,
Uh-huh.
right? But have you ever been to the golf range and you're sort of a novice and then you say, okay, let's compete to see who could hit this ball the farthest? And none of
Right.
us are great golfers. You're going to
No.
squeeze the club and you're going to swing
Yeah.
back and then you're going to rip it as hard as you can, right?
Yeah. It doesn't
Yeah.
you can't hit it far like that.
Can't really hit it far like that, you know?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. We naturally have a tendency to have this fight or flight response to where we stiffen up at the very onset of stress.
Right.
And it's natural, for instance, if you're falling in a way, right, your back to spasm up to protect your spine. So it's physiology,
Yeah.
right?
And-
So how do
and-
you overcome that?
Right.
That's the idea when it comes to this.
Right. And then it just speaking of physiology, staying loose makes it easier for you to transfer energy from your core to your limbs, I guess.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So your
Energy
throws
transference.
you can hit harder, you can throw harder, you can punch harder if you're loose. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going back to the offensive side. So I think uh, One thing people say when like a higher belt tries to teach this point to a beginner, one concrete thing people usually say is that, oh, you can shake your partner's gi
Yeah.
to relax. And I used to do that, but I kind of stopped doing that now.
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons. But like, what does that even mean? Like, does it actually help shaking the gi?
No, it's nonsense. It's really nonsense. I have very strong feelings about it.
Okay, I'm
It
good that
actually
I
has
stopped
nothing.
doing that.
It actually has nothing to do with staying loose.
Ah,
Yeah. And it's a very interesting. I'm actually making a series of judo videos about why the Japanese shake the opponent's gi.
yeah, wow, they do shake. Like the pros shake.
Shake the
Pros
gis, yeah.
shake the
They
gis.
do.
Yeah.
But they do it with certain intent. And the reasoning is very, very hidden. And if you listen to the language, the coaches aren't saying shake the gi. They're saying move your lapel hand. Right? Tsurite o ugokase. So move your lapel tsurite. Right? So as you're moving your arm, the gi moves too. And then they're moving really quickly, right?
So in
order to-
Japanese, they don't say shake the gi. They say
don't say
move
shake the
move your hand. Okay, move
Yeah.
your lapel
it's a
hand.
byproduct of moving your lapel hand. And they're
I
moving
see.
it with purpose. Because if we're trying to game this hand up the person's collar to control their head more, moving the hand is advantageous. Because if I'm just locked on really hard and then they're pinning this arm down, there's downward force on the arm, that arm's not going to go up.
Right.
So maybe you move it fast to the outside and then you cut the hand, right? By sharply moving your arm violently. Then their opponent's grip might loosen and then you could climb up the collar. Kind of like that. It's very hard to visualize it, so I don't want to
Right.
do it a disservice.
Check out
You have
your
to watch
YouTube
the
video.
YouTube
Yeah.
video. I've been and I've been known for saying don't shake the gi. I've been
Yeah,
known to say
I
that.
don't think you've ever said that. Yeah.
I do shake the gi, but that's a byproduct of me moving my arm. Here's another example that's going to make sense. You ever watch boxing?
yeah.
The
Time to
target
time.
is the head,
Right.
and I'm trying to connect my hands to their face, correct?
Right. Right.
So in order to create a moving target, they move their head, right?
so that it's harder to hit. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. If I have sleeve hand and now I have the lapel hand, and I know their hand is trying to target this part of my elbow
Right. To pin it down.
to pin it down, but they don't have their hand on it yet. As soon as I grab the lapel, look, I move the elbow, so now it's a moving target, and now they're
hard
going
to
to have a
grab,
hard
yeah.
time settling their hand on the gi.
Ah.
So that's why when you see 2-on-1 position in Japanese judo, I have two hands on and you have one hand on, and my one hand on, the two hands on, the part that you don't have is the sleeve. I want to move my arm to make it a moving target.
So your partner can't grab onto it tightly. Yeah.
Exactly. So now, while the arm is moving, they're fishing around to grab that hand. I cut the other hand. So now I got two, you got none.
I see.
And that's the moment where you go Morote Senagi, because there's no contact for you to resist my movements.
Right.
Right. So shake the gi to loosen, shake the gi to distract. Not really.
I think there's a lot of like when you play a sport, in every sport, you see a pro doing certain moves, but then on the surface level, you think they're just doing it for like shake the gi, like it looks like they're shaking the gi, but it's actually the byproduct. A lot of times when pros do certain moves, it's the byproduct of something more, fundamental. Yeah.
Yes,
I think it's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Like karate guys who are just hopping up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't see that in boxing.
Right.
You don't see that in Muay Thai or Thai boxing. Why are they the only people? Actually, Taekwondo also.
Yeah, Taekwondo, they bounce around a lot too.
So what's the purpose behind it?
Yeah.
So I've been
why?
in a room with striking coaches who are like, bounce up and down. It's like, why? Right? What's the purpose behind it? It's bouncing up and down is a byproduct of whatever I'm trying to do.
Why do karate guys and Taekwondo guys bounce up and down?
I don't have an answer to that. I kind of do, but I don't want to
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
it'll be
It's not a karate show. We could
right,
have a
that's
karate
right.
episode too, actually, if anyone's interested.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be actually interesting. You know, you've done karate a little bit, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
not a bit.
A lot of it, right, with your dad. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
All
And
right, so
then
staying loose. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, staying loose. So yeah, so shaking the gi, I mean, it has a different purpose, and so and it goes beyond, like we talked about. It goes beyond just judo and
Yeah.
other grappling arts. You know, so wrestling too. You're not really like good wrestlers that lose. And is it the same idea? Like even in wrestling, like
Yeah.
because you want to be attacking, and then
They
if you want
always
to
say
have
like a lot of high school kids, beginners kind of lock ear to ear in a collar tie.
right,
Never want to be ear to ear because now you're locked up upper body, and then a lot of isometric contraction, right?
right,
So now you're like locked up there, and now you can't freely move and feint and right take the other person out of position because now you're locked up and stiff, right?
right.
So it's kind of the same idea. Yeah,
Right.
and I will tell you, like, how do you get loose? How do you not go into sort of this lockdown mode when you're actually grappling? And jiu-jitsu kind of has a nice tool to train it specifically. BJJ. I'm saying something nice about BJJ.
You usually do, yeah.
I usually do. Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah.
positive about it. Like that's
Yeah.
sort of my overall demeanor when it comes to this martial art.
Yeah.
But the thing that they have that's very unique to them that
Yeah.
a lot of other martial arts have also, but is not focused on, is flow rolling. Best Russian wrestlers do this. Hours and hours and hours. They flow wrestle. They relax. They go for underhook. They go for body lock. They lift. They put the person down. And they have sort of this reduced intensity training we talked about in the other podcast. They have this.
Specifically, like they
They do
designate
this.
some time.
The best guys do this.
Yeah.
Japanese judo guys. They train and they like to relax. Even wrestlers that are American wrestlers, they kind of have this kind of training methodology. But judo guys don't do it as much. It's not really part of their curriculum because it's choppy and aggressive a lot of the times when you come to look at novice players. Because they think of judo as sort of like this Olympic style bat, like one or two off attacks, right?
Right.
So jiu-jitsu kind of has the culture of, hey man, let's flow roll and hang out and go from position to position. And the reason why they can do this a lot better is because the risks are lower.
I see.
Flow rolling, what's the risk? If we're not finishing submissions, we're just fighting for position.
We're just
I knee
on
cut,
the
I pass
ground,
the guard, right? Now I'm in side control, and now you knee elbow escape, and as you knee elbow escaping, the knee shield comes in, and I hop over to the other side, and then you decide to turtle, and now I'm attacking the back, and you do a sit out turn in, and then I'm trying to put my hooks in, you defend it, I'm looking for the neck, I'm going for the arm bar, you hitchhiker out of the thing, and there's zero risk there because we're not trying to submit each other. When there's reduced risk, you could do things more relaxed. When the risk of when you're training judo is getting slammed on your head, you're locking up.
That the fight and fear,
Yeah.
fight and fly. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Response.
it
Yeah,
works.
because-
If you focus all your attention on defense. And a good example is this. In Japan, they have team tournaments all the time. So it's a 7 versus 7. Sometimes it's weight class. Sometimes it's the 7 best person on their team, but they do it all the time. University team championships, high school team championships,
Right.
and then it's they tally up the wins.
Right.
Right. Sometimes you go up and it's like 2-2, and then the 5th person going out there is not as good as the other person, and the other person's a champion. The coach says, "I want you to go out there and draw. Just don't get thrown." So now that athlete can just focus on not getting thrown to force a tie.
Right.
And then, I know the next 2 guys in this team will be able to go out there and perform and win. Whatever it is, right? So it becomes part of a strategy. But when the coach says, don't go get thrown, now the game is different because the objectives are different.
Right.
If you focus 100% on defense, your defense is going to get better.
Right.
Kind of, right? I'm like kind of oversimplifying things.
Yeah.
It's hard to throw someone that's fully defensive.
Right.
So to tell someone that's fully defensive and stiff to relax so you could throw them, there's a disconnect there.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So teaching them and drilling them in a way where there's reduced risk of getting bombed will ultimately let them train in a way where they're relaxed.
I see. So what kind of method do you suggest to reduce the risk? Just maybe
We did this yesterday.
Oh yeah.
We did grip fighting, dominant position, hold it for 5 seconds, reduce the intensity little by little, so let the other person work out of it, right? And really focus on that losing position, because when you're losing position, it's very natural to get stiff or drop down for a bailout technique or a tomonage, right? But stay in there, stay in that pocket. There's no risk of you getting slammed. Stay in there, relax, and then work yourself out of it by doing light attacks. Okay, no one's trying to throw anybody here. There's no risk of getting thrown. If you're in dominant position, you're not attacking. So now you're putting yourself in bad situations where the opponent is not going to bomb you, and you're actively attacking with the means to improve position without the risk of getting put on your head. So now these people are becoming more comfortable. So now when they're actually doing live grappling, live fighting, they're like, okay, I've been here before. I'm not going to be as tense.
I see.
Right.
I see. So it's
So that's one way.
It's kind of counterintuitive, counterproductive to tell beginners to just relax. I guess.
Yeah, they can't do it. It's their natural default.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a white belt right now. He's just crazy tense and crazy. And my indirect way of trying to correct that behavior is telling them, listen, you're not trying to compete with the black belt in front of you, the green belt in front of you. If you're trying to compete against that person will beat you.
Right.
And that person will put a hurting on you. The goal is to learn, and they are your guide. You're not competing with them. So try things in a relaxed manner because they're instructed not to put you on your head. So now they have a little bit of a different mindset going into that round. Therefore, they're a little bit more relaxed. Oh, this person in front of me is not trying to take my head off or slam me. Oh, I should trust this person.
So it even goes beyond just training. It's about community too. You gotta beginners have to be able to feel comfortable with others. That
if you're running a dojo and people are fearful of each other, you're gonna have a lot of stiff athletes in there.
Stiff arming.
Stiff athletes, defensive posture, people trying not to get thrown and going for one-offs and two-offs because they're getting frustrated. Great way for injuries to happen.
And it's not even that fun that way.
No, it's not that fun. But there's ways around beating stiff opponents.
Right.
Going the opposite way, cutting the hands. Trying to off balance them in a different way, going underneath them for tomonage or faking tomonage, creating movement, pulling their head down. All that. There's a lot of whole system behind it.
Right.
But that system is often not taught because the people who are competing don't compete against guys that are fully defensive.
Right.
So a lot of the instructionals out there are how to do judo against another offensive judo player, and this is how I won a championship.
Right.
Has
that's very
no
interesting.
connection with actual dojo judo where you're fighting novices who are stiff. I actually made a DVD about this. Breaking through the stiff arm. Yeah, it's on Judo Fanatics.
That's why the champions don't teach you about this. Yeah.
It's a really, really long-winded commercial.
That's right. Got you guys. We got you. Yeah. But nice. That BJJ flow rolling. Yeah, I've done it, and it's I wasn't used to it, but I think it's a very good way to even just warm up and be safe. And that was a good revelation that I didn't think it was a mindset problem. I just thought it was a technique problem, like people stiffing it up. But it is a mindset. So I guess I wasn't focusing on the right thing. I always try to explain the mechanics and all. It doesn't stick.
Ego, low risk. No ego, low risk.
Yeah.
If ego comes into play, I will never lose to this guy. I will never let this guy throw me.
Yeah.
You're going to be stiff. Natural default of human nature. Like you ever like have a teacher call on you and you weren't prepared in school?
Right.
Probably never happened to you because you went to Princeton, but me, it happened to me all the time.
Yeah.
Shintaro,
Yeah.
did you do the reading last night? And you kind of get this, like, you start stiffening up, right?
Yeah,
and then your
yeah.
hands get sweaty and then your heart starts
Right.
beating. How can you be a loose, competitive,
Uh-huh.
optimal athlete when that sort of response is innate?
That's right. And then it works too.
Yeah.
I mean, defensive wise, of course you can't attack.
Yeah, and then your friend
you
next to you is
don't-
like, "Hey, man, just relax. Everything's gonna be okay." It's like, screw off, man. I'm failing this class. Like, I'm gonna have to take
Yeah.
summer school,
Yeah.
right?
Right,
Like,
right. It is stressful, and
It's
that's
stressful, yeah.
natural response. And
Natural
same thing
response.
with Randori.
Yep.
Yeah. So focus on that mental side of things, guys. When you want to stay loose while grappling.
Yeah. And I do have to say, right, if
Yeah.
you're in dominant position a lot of the times, especially in Newaza, a lot of it is isometric contractions, and you do want to stiffen yourself. For instance, if you have the person's back, you have the hooks in, and you have the over-under, you want to lock it in so the person's not going to go away. So you're making yourself stiff in certain shapes.
Right, I see. Certain situations you need to
Certain
be
situations,
stiff.
yes.
Yeah.
So it's an interplay between molding your body a certain way, stiff, relax, stiff, relax, because sometimes you do have to kind of stiff
Right.
arm or push the face away or whatever it is, you know?
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nuance approach. Yeah. Anything else?
No,
before we
man.
close? Yeah.
Thank you guys for listening to me rant, and thank you, Peter. I appreciate you for doing all that you do.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having
Yes.
me. Yeah, cool. And if you guys have any suggestions, send them our way. Support us on Patreon for more direct access to us. And stay tuned for the next episode, guys.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.